Cindy Stumpo's a general contractor for 25 years and counting.
I'm paying premium price. I expect premium product.
Stumpo has been building houses and shattering stereotypes.
The bad guy's here. It's up to the customer. I want a phone call back. I'm pretty upset. The customer is always right. Actually, I'm more than pretty upset.
Cindy Stumpo is tough as nails.
And welcome to Cindy Stumpo, Tough as Nails on WBZ News Radio 1030. And I'm here tonight with my daughter Samantha. Hi, Sam. How you doing?
Hi, Mom. How are you?
Not great. We just almost killed each other on the way here, but it's okay.
She might have killed me on the way here.
And we're also here with Dr. Srini Pillay. Hi, Srini.
Hi, Cindy.
So, Srini is CEO and founder of Neuro Business Group, assistant professor, part-time Harvard Medical School. Tonight's topic is, ready, guys? How to unfocus. Okay, it's a little amusing to me right now, Srini, but you're going to teach me. Because my whole life I've been taught.
Excuse me, the whole car ride, she told me I need to learn how to focus on
Right.
the way here. Now I'm going to do the opposite?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
So all I ever say to people is focus. Focus, people. Focus, okay? So we're going to get into this thing about how to unfocus. So Dr. Srini Pillay is a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, brain imaging researcher, and author of Tinker, Dabble, Doodle, Try. So I'm going to try that again. Tinker, Dabble, Doodle, Try. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Okay. Unlock the power of the unfocused mind. Srini, tell my listeners, who are you, buddy?
That's a difficult question to answer
I would
really
agree.
seriously, but I'll give you the labels. I'm a psychiatrist and a brain researcher,
Okay.
and I also am an executive coach. So I work with leaders of Fortune 500 companies, helping them figure out how to make their teams more productive and more creative. I also work in biotechnology in the spaces of cancer, heart disease, and stroke, looking at drugs that are potentially approvable to advise companies as to whether they are likely to be approved or not. I have co-founded 3 tech startup companies that are at an early stage development right now. I'm developing a field called computaceuticals, which is about using computer-based therapies in addition with medications for different disorders.
Okay.
And I'm also a musician, so I'm writing a musical for Broadway right now.
What
So-
doesn't he not do?
Srini's just one of those brilliant men. So, okay, Srini. So you have literally told us everything. I think you've left out some things, though. Here, let me just fill you in on some of other Srini. You have 3 books out right now, correct?
That's well, yeah, 3 books by recognized publishers. I have 5 in total.
5 in total.
but
So
3.
could you give us the names of the books?
Sure. So the first was Life Unlocked: 7 Revolutionary Lessons to Overcome Fear. The second was Your Brain in Business: The Neuroscience of Great Leaders. And the latest is Tinker, Dabble, Doodle, Try: Unlock the Power of the Unfocused Mind.
Okay. So I think your credentials are there for what we need to be talking about right now. So tell my audience, what is this whole thing about unfocusing? Start there. Okay.
So I think a lot of people generally recognize what you were telling Samantha earlier, right? Which is like, you need to focus, you need to know how to focus. That's really important, and I'm all for focus. The problem is that in your brain, you have focus circuits and you have unfocused circuits. And to focus properly throughout the day, you have to learn how to unfocus. And that's because there are several disadvantages of focus that we need to be aware of. So
Are you going to have to go slow with me and break it down like A, B, C, D? Because it's so strange to me what you're saying. You want me to focus and then unfocus.
That's right. So I'll tell you what some of my issues with focus are.
Okay.
So I would agree with everybody that to get something done, you need to focus. You need to go from beginning to end. But we're not machines. Our brains need a break. So when you focus all the time, you actually eat up all your brain energy. So for example, there was a study done that had people stare at a video, intensely focused, and then another group stared at the video, just as usual. And then they gave them a moral dilemma to solve. Like, we want you to save this person. How would you save them?
Okay.
The group that focused, because they had no brain energy, couldn't care less. Whereas the group that watched as usual started to try to solve the problem. And then when they fed the focus group glucose, they started to care again. And what this teaches us is that if we live our whole days with focus fatigue, by the time the day is done, you really don't care less. Like, even if someone says to you, Cindy, I've got a problem, like, I really need you to help me. If it's 6 o'clock and you've been focusing all day, well, maybe not you, but most people.
No, I'm getting to that point too. Yeah. I'm getting my brain's getting tired too. and making sense.
Most people have a really hard time caring by that point because they've used up all their brain energy. So the first disadvantage of focusing all the time is that you tire your brain out. The second disadvantage is...
Well, hold on for a minute. Do you find most people focus too much? Is that what you're saying?
A lot of people do. So, like you were saying, what you were saying earlier about, like you want people to work, you want them to focus. Do you know what the percentage of people around the world are who are engaged in their jobs? Meaning, if you ask them, are you paying attention to your job and do you like it? Because they think they're coming in, they're focusing, they're getting their tasks done, but are they interested and engaged? Globally, only 13% of people are engaged in their jobs, which means more than 8 out of 10 people couldn't care less. They show up, they get something done, and they leave.
And why is that?
Partly because they're exhausted the whole day. There are no breaks built into their day to be able to refuel and recharge.
So are you teaching these Fortune 500 companies this focusing, unfocus, and giving their people a break? And
yeah, absolutely. In fact, a lot of companies are doing this right now. I mean, you'll hear me talk about this later, most likely. But, for example, Google right now has things like napping pods. Like they actually encourage people within the company to nap because they realize and probably know the research that 5 to 15 minutes of a nap can give you 1 to 3 hours of clarity. So you know that feeling, after lunch when you feel like you're dragging and your eyes are closing and you can't stay awake?
Well, I always said in construction we get our most work between 7 in the morning and lunchtime. Once everybody comes back from lunch, it's you're going to get 50% of production after lunch.
Right, but why drag yourself through the day if you can take 5 to 15 minutes of a nap and you get 1 to 3 hours of clarity? Take a nap for 5 to 15 minutes.
So basically, the Europeans have been doing it smart. The Italians, they go out, they shut their business down at what time? What's the norm over there in Italy? They shut everything down at what time, Sammy? You've been over there.
I thought it was from 3 to 8. They don't go back up. They shut down after in the afternoon. They don't back up until 9 o'clock at night.
So yeah, it's a big siesta, right?
They take a break. Okay, so are you asking me, Srini, to daydream? I'm not going to fall asleep in the middle of the day. That's never going to happen with my personality. Now, maybe I've got listeners that can do that. Everybody I'm going to go on a job site and say, okay, everybody, 15 minutes, pod nap. They're going to look at me like, did she really lose her mind? Now we're going to really lock her up. But I'm taking this as unfocusing, meaning I've got to daydream or I've got to lose my mind somewhere else.
Well,
I can't do that.
Well, maybe you think that, but most of brain functioning is actually under the radar. We're not really, more than 90% of what's going on in our brains, we are not aware of. So when they've studied this in people like you and me, what they find is that all of us spend 46.9% of our days daydreaming. Our minds stay on task, but without realizing it, our minds go off task. So
I don't understand. Explain.
So you think all you remember is what you were focusing on. What you don't remember is when your mind went off because that's unconscious and your mind went off.
Srini, I really don't know if my mind goes off until I literally close my eyes or I'm watching a TV program. If you're telling me I go off focus and I don't realize it during my workday,
most likely. But in a way, that's not necessarily helpful. So the reason I wrote this book is I do advocate that daydreaming occurs. But there's a good type of daydreaming and there's a bad type of daydreaming.
Okay, can I ask Sam a question?
Yeah.
Sam, is there a time, think about my day, that I actually unfocus?
No, but there's a time when you leave and you go home and you fall asleep and then all of a sudden you're wide awake and have more energy than you did all day long.
Okay, but that would be in a winter day at 4:30, 5 o'clock.
But maybe that's what you need.
No, my question was, has anybody ever seen me not be focused all day long? Srini, I don't think I go off focus. I can't afford to go off focus. I'm getting hit with too many things.
Well, if I were designing a study and I had a normal control group, I would not recruit you.
You wouldn't. Okay, so I wouldn't be
She
the...
screwed your test
Yeah,
results?
she would ruin my results totally.
All right, so Srini's going to come back. We're going to go off to break, and Srini's going to come back and give us some tips on how to unfocus. I'm Cindy Stumpo, and this is Tough as Nails on WBZ News Radio 1030, and we will be right back. We all want to say, my son the doctor, my daughter the lawyer. Guess what? That's great and wonderful. But I got to be honest, when my parents say, my daughter the general contractor, Cindy Stumpo, it's really cool. Let your kids pick their own path. Be there to guide them. Be there to support them.
Make it all right. I know just how you feel. I wanna
I'm Cindy Stumpo on WBZ News Radio 1030, and I'm here with Sammy and Dr. Srini Pillay. He is CEO and founder of Neuro Business Group. Tonight's topic, how not to focus. Is that really a word, unfocus?
I made it up.
Oh, okay. So
It's not in the dictionary.
It's probably in the dictionary, but not to mean what I imply by what's in the book.
So the Urban Dictionary.
Whatever it is. So how not to focus, unfocus, however you want to say this. Okay, Doc, you brought up one disadvantage. We got 4 more to go on why we should unfocus.
Yeah, so the first disadvantage of focus was that it drains your brain of energy. The second disadvantage of focus is that it's like going through life with blinkers on. So, essentially, it's great when you want someone to only think of one thing. But if you are, for example, focused on your job, but you're not thinking about other parts of your life and your relationship, you may think your life is going just fine. But the problem is, if you're not paying attention to things other than what you're focused on, your life can actually fall apart. So the second thing is that focus restricts your awareness of what's around you. The third thing is if you're focusing with your nose to the grindstone, you're just looking at what's in front of you, then you're not paying attention to things that are coming down the pike. So essentially, if there are robots about to take over your job, my niece, for example, said to me, she called me and she said, I got 100% in accounting.
Excuse me, can I get a robot named Cindy?
Absolutely.
That can do my job? Okay, good. All right. I want to make one. Go ahead.
So my niece, when she called me, she said, I got 100% at accounting. And I was like, that's great, but that job is going to be taken over by a machine, most likely. Maybe you should get a leadership development degree that will allow you to run a company full of robots that will be doing accounting.
Is that where you think the world's going?
It is going in that direction. I mean, probably at least 30% of jobs are going to be replaced. I mean, do you know they now have sports journalists that are robots? Like, they feed the journalists, like, the weather, the day, the time, the team, and then the robot is programmed to say things like, welcome to this day where you see someone is playing someone on this great sunny day.
Really no difference than my Alexa in my home, right?
It's similar, and Alexa's going to become more and more sophisticated.
I don't need to listen to the news to listen to weather. I ask her what the day is going to be. You're right.
Right. So
when I think about robots, I think about like, oh, Mr. Will.
Yeah, but is that going to make us as human less educated because we rely on them too much?
Well, I think it's going to take away what we're doing currently, which is why I think in the corporate market we're talking a lot about reskilling. Because just take a simple job like flipping burgers at McDonald's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that seems like a fairly simple thing to do. They now have machines that can flip burgers faster than any human. So anyone who's flipping burgers at McDonald's is not going to be flipping burgers at McDonald's anymore.
All right, so we have to stay on the advantage. Right?
The disadvantages of focus.
Okay.
So the third one was that you don't see what's coming down the line. So you don't see new patterns like robots that are going to take over your job. The fourth thing.
But hold on. I'm 53. I don't really have to worry about that right now in my life.
Not
But the
for
next
what you
generation
do.
coming up will.
Yeah, not for what you do, but I can just tell you, like, even as doctors, we have to be aware all the time of like certain functions that we can do and certain functions that machines are going to do. So, for example, right now, they're making machines that are more likely to be better diagnosticians than doctors because they can integrate data really fast.
Okay.
So everybody's got to be aware of this. I believe.
Okay, so we're not aware because we're too much focusing on our everyday. We're not thinking into the future.
That's right.
And if we're thinking too much about what we're doing, it actually, here's how I'm going to sum this up, is that if I'm thinking about just the projects I'm working on, I'm not thinking about future deals because I'm too in the moment at all times focusing on this.
Exactly.
And it's going to hold me back from potentially growing my company to one last level.
Right.
Because I'm focusing too much. So, all right, now I'm getting a feel on this. Okay, next.
So the next disadvantage is that people don't make connections. So if they only work, like in corporations, for example, Gillette Corporation, they had an appliance division, they had a battery division, and they had a toothbrush division, and each division just worked independently, and as a result, they were not first to market with the battery-powered toothbrush.
Because they had all the components.
And they had all the components to it.
Because everybody was too focused on selling batteries, toothbrushes, and
Yeah, and appliances.
And appliances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I had this idea. I was thinking it would be kind of cool because I love you so much. I was thinking it would be kind of cool.
Srini loves me. We're going to let everybody know in our third segment why he loves me so much. It's kind of funny.
So I was thinking, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you built a Cindy Stumpo house and you integrated her radio show so that you would be able to hear Cindy's voice? Like, if you didn't put the lights off, it would be, put the lights off.
No, it would be rated XXX.
Right.
Okay. It would be a freak show. But, okay, so I've listened to all these bulletin points that you hit, why we focus too much and why it hurts us, okay? Right. But here's my question to you is this. My brain is already a freak show on a daily basis, okay? And I am trying to concentrate on 20 people coming at me on a good day between my phone, right? Between texting, phone calls, and people in my face. We're talking in a half an hour period, 20, 30 different texts, probably more, and people in my face. I have to stay focused. So when you tell me now, Cindy, you need to unfocus, I'm going to throw the pen in my ear, in the ear and go, then my brain will be a complete freak show. It'll just be a circus. You might as well play. What's the circus music, Sammy? Do, 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 do.
Yep.
It's already there now. So again, how do I unfocus?
So there are a lot of different ways. I think the first thing to avoid the freak show is to actually build unfocus
You
into...
know my brain's a freak show, right? But go ahead.
Well,
Big freak show. But
a
go ahead.
beautiful freak show.
A beautiful freak show. It's a freak show. But, okay, give me something that you know my personality. Mm-hmm. Cindy, if you just try this one thing, you're going to be better at this.
Sure. So I mean, there's a bunch of different things, but one of the things is studies have shown that doodling, which is scribbling on a piece of paper, like when you're on the phone or if you're at a meeting and you're just like scribbling, you're drawing a face.
I do it all the time. I write my name like 500 times, and I write my kids' names.
And that actually improves memory by 29%. So people think you're being distracted, but in fact, your brain, rather than being a stiff sponge, starts to relax, so you're absorbing more stuff.
Okay, can I go off here a bit?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use this as a example. When I go to my office, I can unfocus if I light a cigarette up. Why is that? Now, I'm not a big smoker, and Sammy, don't get on me. Okay,
No comment.
I try to smoke less than half a pack of cigarettes a day. I put 10 cigarettes in my pack, and when they're gone, they're gone. Then we'll try to go to 8, and then we'll try to go to 5. But there's something in that is the only place, if I'm on the phone and I have that in my hands, I can unfocus a bit. Why is that? And I'm pulling this off my hip now because I'm just thinking, what is it? Is it the hand movement? Is it the hand movement? Is it the lighting of it? Is it the taking the breath from it? Because I think that's the couple seconds I get where I don't focus.
So there's two short explanations. At a cognitive level...
And I'm not telling anybody to smoke.
Sure.
Okay.
No. So there's two short explanations.
It's actually fun, but go ahead.
The first explanation is that it's a habit, right? So habit circuits take you into a place of familiarity. And if you've got something familiar going on in your brain, then your brain's not feeling like something's going to hit you from all angles. You've got one thing that's constant that you know how to do, and it happens all the time. So that's the first answer. If you go more deeply into what you're talking about, a lot of psychoanalysts would say that any oral behavior we have, whether it's smoking, drinking, talking, these are oral behaviors. These are behaviors that we developed as kids, and they define our attachments. That's why, we put pacifiers in our mouths or breastfeeding. Like at a very early stage in life, these become symbols of attachment. Now, adults don't usually go around breastfeeding, but they find replacements for things to put in their mouths that remind them of whatever that comfort was. So those are two potential reasons with a lot more depth for each one.
Okay. No, I'm understanding. Okay. So I hope my listeners are understanding here too. So again, let's start with, give me an example. How am I going to unfocus?
So so far we've talked about, daydreaming. Let's talk about positive, constructive daydreaming. So Jerome Singer studied daydreaming in the 1950s. He found that slipping into a daydream while you're sitting at your desk is not helpful. However, he also found that, if you go to a party and you have too much to drink and the next day you're ruminating over all the stuff you shouldn't have said, that's not helpful either. But what is helpful is positive, constructive daydreaming. And it's a 3-step process. So I would ask people to take out a piece of paper and a pencil and write down these 3 steps. Anyway.
Hold that thought. We got to go to a break. You're listening to Tough as Nails on WBZ News Radio 1030. We will be back with Dr. Srini Pillay after this break. And you're back with Cindy Stumpo on WBZ News Radio 1030. I'm here with Dr. Srini Pillay, Samantha, and he's teaching us how to unfocus. Srini, you left off?
I was talking about positive constructive daydreaming. 3-step process. Step number 1, find a 15-minute period when you would have a natural slump in your day. So after lunch, mid-afternoon, when you're totally sort of lagging behind. Step number 2, you have to be doing something low-key, like either gardening, knitting, or going for a walk. And just remember, walking outside will make you more creative than walking on a treadmill, and walking on a curvy path will make you more creative than walking around the block. And step number 3, according to Singer, is as you are doing this low-key thing, just imagine something positive and playful, like maybe running through the woods with your dogs or lying on a yacht, whatever does it for you. And as you train your brain to do this, it does 2 things. It refreshes your brain so you can focus more, and it makes you more creative as well.
Okay. I'm actually getting this because I'm going to tell you a fast story. I was in a shower, literally. It's like a 9-foot by 5-foot shower. And I had the clients there, and I had the plumber there, and there's all this special tile work. And everybody wanted me to lay out the body sprays and the heads. And, even though they roughed it in, okay,
Right.
Now the tile's on, they want to change everything. And they wanted me to do this off my hip, which I'm great off the hip. But at that moment, I just shut down. And I said, listen, I've got an audience here. Let me walk out. I've got 10 other guys that need questions. I literally couldn't put the shower together in my head. At the moment, I was focusing so hard, it wasn't coming to me. I got home that night, 3 minutes before I'm about to fall asleep, the whole shower, there's 2 rain heads, there's body sprays, there's 2 shower heads, there's a steam unit in there, name it, speaker systems. And it all came to me. I went back to the site the next morning, put it all back together, and it's all good. But in the moment, for that moment, I was stuck. But let's talk about how Srini Pillay, Dr. Srini Pillay, and Cindy Stumpo met. Let's go, buddy.
I'll never forget the day, right? I remember I had gone to a house of yours. I met your realtor.
By the way, this is a true story. I kid you not. You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried.
It really is. So I met a realtor. I loved the house I saw. I came up with what I thought was this ingenious idea. Why doesn't Cindy Stumpo buy my house? I can pay half for a house that she could build. And your realtor said to me, where is your house? And I said, LaGrange. And she said, which side of LaGrange? And I said, the left side. She said, Miss Stumpo does not build on the left of LaGrange. And I was like, what a snotty person. So I went to the insurance
That wasn't
adjuster.
me, by the way, folks. That was the broker that was dealing with me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was talking to the insurance adjuster, who was also a friend of yours. I said, hey, Jimmy, I just met this woman. She was so snotty about, like, who's this Cindy Stump? He goes, Cindy, she's my old friend. I'll introduce you to her. So he introduces me to you. So Cindy comes over to the house to take a look at the house, runs up in her sneakers, and I'm like, who is this person? Stylish in sneakers, running up to the house. She jumps up and down on the planks, and then she's like, yep, I'm not going to buy this. And she goes down. She says, you're coming with me. And I go, where? She goes, I'm going to build you a house. I was like, no, I can't afford the house that you build. She said, you're coming with me. And then you taught me a really important lesson about unfocus, which is possibility thinking, to stop looking at reality and start to think about what's possible. So I came over to your house, and you said, well, what kind of house do you want? And I take out a list of houses, and I'm like, this. Cindy goes through every one of those houses. She goes, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. I was like, okay, this is too freaky.
Right.
I made a list of all the houses that I like in Newton.
This is a true story. He literally came with 9 pictures, and 8 of them were mine. And the one that wasn't mine, I said, this is ugly, and I threw it aside. But this is really going down. And we had met now a few times, and now you have to understand how I live. So how I live is everybody meets in the bedroom. I know it sounds crazy, but there's couches, there's chairs, and that's where everybody hangs out. So Srini says, look, I can't afford this house unless I get more money for my home.
That's right. And
And
my
go
house
ahead.
was already on the market, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sell this house. It was flooded. That's what had
And
happened.
this was
right?
what year, by the way? Because the
It
market
was like 13 years ago.
right. So the
Yeah.
market wasn't crazy. It wasn't
Yeah.
what we're in today. But go ahead.
And so, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get this money. Besides, I'll be lucky if somebody even buys this house. It just looks so terrible.
The house was frozen. They went away, and the house blew up.
Yeah, all the pipes were frozen. Everything was destroyed. So suddenly I get a call, and I'm like, wait a minute, this guy wants to buy the house. That's amazing. And Cindy says to me, ask him for $100,000 more. And I'm like, are you crazy? I can't just ask for $100,000 more. And she goes, ask for $100,000 more. And I'm like, Cindy, I can't. I already priced the house. And she said, it's wrong. And I looked at her in the eye, and she said, if you ask for that and you don't get it, I will give you $99,000. So I want you to know now that I will give you $99,000, ask for $100,000. And in the moment, because I trusted her, and there was something about her that it just made me go with it. So I said, I'm sorry, the price has just increased by $100,000.
And meanwhile, Dr. Pillay was absolutely like, he was dying. He didn't know how to do this.
Yeah, I was like, how do you do
He's
this?
pacing back and forth in my room. I'm like, just do it. Get on the phone with the guy right now, and all you have to do is tell him that Stumpo's going to come in right behind him and pay that amount of money. Take it or leave it. And, of course, that's my delivery. And Dr. Play's like, well, I need another 100,000 more. I'm like, Srini, speak with confidence. He's like, I'm trying here. I'm trying. This is very uncomfortable to me. And long and short.
He bought the house. I got $100,000, and you built me a beautiful house.
Okay, so we got the extra $100,000 because the guy said, oh, no, you're not going to sell it to Stumpo, right? That's what
Yeah.
he said. I'll buy it for $100,000. So I knew how to play that guy's ego, and that's what I said to you. I know how to play this guy's ego. Just follow my lead here. Because
Right,
men work off ego, women work off of intelligence. So go ahead. So
that to me, that was just a great example of possibility thinking. And I think what I would want people to remember is whenever you feel like you're hitting a wall in life, like I was hitting where I didn't have the money for you to build me a house, instead of asking yourself, well, what do I do now that I'm hitting my head against the wall? One simple question: how can I make this possible? And because I asked you that question, you said, you looked at me, you said, how much money do you have? And I told you, and you said, you need $100,000 more for this to work. And I was like, where am I going to get that from? Good question.
right?
Yeah, good question.
Good question.
And if you ask yourself that question, how do I solve this problem, as opposed to being stuck in the problem? You're not focused on the problem, you're unfocusing so you can figure out the solution.
I didn't know this story, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, the first thing I said to Srini within 10 minutes of the meeting is I said, you are going to be my most highest maintenance customer I've ever had.
She did, and she was right. I was pretty high.
I'm like, this is like, he came with pictures of things that you see at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. I'm like, dude, we're building a 5,000 square foot house, 4,800 square foot house. You can't have all this. You need to make a wish list, and you got to follow this wish list, and we got to stay on budget. Yeah. And Srini, take it from there.
Yeah. She
he's
hired someone to control me.
Versace, and we got Versace tile coming in, and we got Versace.
Well, she
this
showed me
and
that. She said to me, "Listen, I'm
Bang
going to build you a
Olufsen.
house."
I'm like, oh, geez.
She's like, "I'm building you a house, and it's going to be a spec house. It'll be beautiful. It's not my biggest house by a long shot, but it's going to be a very nice house." And I was like, she brought the tiles in for the front lot. I was like, "Cindy, this is ugly." She was like, "I told you you're going to be high maintenance," and I was like, "No." Listen, I'm going to the tile store, and I'm going to talk to this guy. I'm going to tell him I can't have ugly tiles. She's like, you handle that then. You handle it.
I'm bringing in marble, and he wants Versace porcelain tile. Back then, porcelain's big now.
Right.
But 13 years ago, we used marble everywhere.
Yeah.
We didn't use porcelain.
Well, I had
I
marble
looked at
everywhere
porcelain
besides
as a
in this
cheap
one
tile.
part, because I wanted it to be like a dance place as soon as you enter.
And by the way,
Yeah.
he's got a party there every year, and it is the dance place.
Yeah.
But so Srini was every way he was going higher end and over budget and figuring a way to make it happen. I'm literally sitting there with my boot on his head, pushing him down and back, and finally said to him, Srini, listen, pick the rooms that you care most about.
Yeah.
We don't have to spend $2,000-$3,000 in faucets in a kid's bathroom. Okay? So let's make your, master of the bomb, the foyer, the areas. And so he's learning how my brain works. I'm learning how his brain works. And it's 13 years later, folks, and I got to tell you something. I have called Dr. Srini Pillay at my home at 1 o'clock in the morning. He's come running over. Srini, I'm dying. You're not dying, Cindy. Yes, this is the big one. I'm dying. So, and again, he was one of the head of panic and anxiety disorder at the time. and literally him, his wife, it doesn't matter what time I call. And that's the greatest thing about being a builder is I can develop a relationship like this with my clients.
It's not just about being a builder. It's about being Srini Stumpo.
Okay, but how many builders get to have that? And how many builders get to get that friendship that I get with you and all my other clients? But he's the guy that's there that it really doesn't matter what time. But then again, if he calls me and something's leaking, I'm right there for him. So
Well, it's not a relationship you build. We build a family.
I'm Cindy Stumpo, and this is Tough as Nails on WBZ News Radio 1030. We'll be right back. Joe, please explain what a bulkhead is.
It's a cellar entry cover, metal cover, or a composite cover that fits over a stairwell going downstairs. Basically, it should be weather tight to keep the weather out and the rodents out. It's all about installation.
I only bring people into my studio that know what they're doing. Trust me on that one.
Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who.
I'm Cindy Stumpo on WBZ News Radio 1030. And I'm here in the studio with Samantha and Dr. Srini Pillay. And I guess you guys have realized now Dr. Srini Pillay is a really good friend of mine. And I love him. So, Srini.
No, I think what we're talking about is the fact that in any life process, there's a need to focus so you can get the house done, for example, but there's also a need to unfocus so you can solve creative problems. And I think what we've been talking about is that in life, you need a mixture of focus and unfocus.
Okay, did we do that with each other when we were building and I didn't even realize it?
Absolutely.
Cite me an example.
Yeah, I mean, you basically had a deadline. You were like, we are finishing this house by this day. And at a particular point, I remember I wanted to have a different pattern in the bathroom, and you were like, what pattern? And I was like, I don't know. You were like, come up with it by tomorrow morning. And so I went away from the site, and I was like, I want glass tiles on one wall. I want a chandelier on the... You're like, you want a chandelier in the bathroom? I was like, yeah. I want a chandelier.
It was a powder bathroom, okay, with this big ostentatious crystal-y thing and glass tiles. I'm like, oh, boy, we're back at Caesar's Palace again. Okay. I love him. I love him. He's great. He's awesome. Okay, so we got callers for you, Doctor.
Kathy?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
We're all here, Kathy.
Hi, Cindy. I'm a long-time listener, but a first-time caller. And hello, Dr. Pillay.
Hi, Kathy.
Really interested in the program and in your book. My question is: at the end of a workday, I am exhausted, but when I get home, I can't stop. Kids, mommy duty, and no time. So I guess my question is: what can I do, and when do I have time to unfocus?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really realistic question.
So hold on. She comes to the door, because I've been there, and then she has her mommy hat on, and the kid.
Yeah.
So, like, she's left one job, and now she's coming home at 5, 6 o'clock to start her second job. Something's really not fair about all that, by the way, guys.
Hey, it's that old adage, right? A woman's work.
Oh, God, I'm telling you. I know how I did it. But go ahead.
Yeah, so let's say you have 100 units of energy in your brain when you start the day. Now, if you go focus the whole day, you come home and you're about to start your new home job, and you've got 20 units of energy. So the place you actually have to work on this is during the day. Because if you can have 100 units at the beginning of the day and come home with 70 units,
Well, how
now
do we
you're
know?
talking.
But how do we know how many units we're using?
No, so it's not objective. I'm just using that as a metaphor.
Oh.
So the reality is
I
that...
was liking this. It's a metaphor.
So the reality is that if you just do focus the whole day, you'll go from 100 to 30. And you'll come home and you'll have to do everything that you have to do with 30 units of energy. But if you start with 100 and then in 2 hours, you actually build in a 15-minute period of doodling, and then you do what you need to do, and then you have lunch, and then directly after lunch, you go on a 15-minute walk. And then you do what you need to do, and then in the middle of the afternoon, you spend another 15 minutes either...
Oh, hold on. What if her boss says, excuse me, where do you think you're going now? And, like, you leave her for another 15-minute break. Like, that's not realistic.
Well, you don't say you're doing that.
Well, then you're lying, and you're going to get fired.
Why can't you go to the bathroom?
I think what...
For 15 minutes?
I don't know.
They'll think you fell down the toilet bowl. I mean, come on.
So when I work with corporations, and this comes up all the time because people are afraid that they're going to be perceived as, not working hard. It needs really, I mean, fundamentally, you have to change the culture of the organization. So I think what a lot of people do is they say, listen, I'm going to try, I heard about this new technique. It's building unfocus into your day. I'd like you to judge my performance by my performance, not by how many hours I'm staring at the desk, because when I'm staring at the desk, I'm not actually doing anything when my brain is fatigued. So if I have a goal, I want you to judge it by whether that goal is reached. And what you'll find is that a lot of bosses will say, okay, well, try it for 2 weeks. Let's see if you can do better at reaching your goals. And I can tell you, I've had this experience even at Harvard.
So you want her to educate her boss. Are you self-employed? Do you work for somebody?
I do work for someone.
Yeah, so her
Productivity is important, though.
You can educate your boss. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have people working for me. They educate me every day.
So basically, let's say she works an 8-hour day. How many breaks should she take where she just clears her head out?
I would say it depends on what's realistic, but I would say minimum of 2 to 3.
2 to 3 breaks.
Yeah.
And how many minutes per break?
15 minutes per break.
Oh, good luck to you. Good luck to you on
but
that
you
one.
See, it's because of that people are saying, well, I have no other option. I just have to focus. I mean, there are a lot. It's not just Google, Zappos. When I was at Harvard, my first critique that I got back, I was like, I nailed this. This is amazing. I saw patients all day and night. I stayed there. The first critique I got was, we think you've learned more than most other people in terms of information, but we're worried about you. And I said, why? And they said, because this is not a place where we're teaching you to be a machine. We want you to be smart. And to be smart, you've got to take a break.
Okay. So you have to teach your boss this. So I suggest you pick up the book, okay? And the name is?
Tinker, Dabble, Doodle, Try. Unlock the power of the unfocused mind.
And everybody should give it to their bosses to read.
Yeah,
well, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Well, you're my boss. Imagine if I gave you that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Tinker Doodle Boodle, yeah. I'll kick your ass right now.
Jake? Jake, are you listening to us?
Jakey, baby, what's going on?
Hi, good. Thank you for taking my call.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so my question for Dr. Srini, and I've been following Cindy since her HGTV days, and I watch her building clips on Facebook. So I guess I really need to know, is it fun building with her? And I ask because I'm interviewing builders in my state, and I can't seem to find a bond with a builder. You know, do you enjoy working with her personally and professionally? And I guess like my last question is, were you focused or unfocused when you actually decided, made the decision to build with Miss Stumpo?
Well, he was either going to build with me or I was going to knock him out, so he didn't really have to trace the man. Go ahead, answer the question.
I mean, that's just such an easy question to answer. Like Cindy is literally one of my most favorite people in the world. So, and I think part of the reason is because I am the way I am. I'm sort of much more gentle in the way I communicate, but I'm also a straight shooter. So I don't get confused when I'm talking to someone who's talking directly to me. It actually helps my brain energy because I know what she wants. I know what she's thinking. She knows what I want. Do we get into fights? Plenty of times. But I think that we've stood the test of time.
And I always won, but go ahead.
Well, we've stood the test of time because I think we've both illustrated that there's something far greater than that, which is the bond and love that we share.
Right. It's so basically he was asking you, did you have, listen, if you're interviewing builders right now, and you got to find that bond there. You know, for Srini and I, we just hit it off like, you know, and I do with most of my clients. I would say 99.9% of my, I actually just fired a client this last couple of weeks because I knew I wasn't going to be able to work with her. And it's the first time I've ever done that in my whole 30-year career. But I just knew I'm too old, I'm too tired, and this shouldn't be work. This is fun. When you're going out and you're building a home, you should have fun. Yes, there's stresses. Don't get me wrong. You got to pick out things and you get very emotional. But you can make it a fun project. You just have to do it with somebody that's responsible, reliable, and that cares about you and your family. You know, you got to find a thoughtful person.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be real about it, we did have a bond. I did have a lot of love for you, but I had a lot of love for someone who's an expert at a trade. Like, I wasn't like I was just loving you and I didn't care about the quality of your work.
Right.
So, you know, I'd heard about you. I saw your houses. I knew what you were doing. So in some ways, it was convenient for me to love you. But I think if I hated you, I don't think I would have built that house because I would have just been like, I don't want to go through this process over months, someone who doesn't get me, someone who doesn't understand. From the first day I saw you. So I would say that I think it's really important for you to first assess whether you trust the quality of work of the person who's building your house. And after that, ask yourself, can I have a relationship with this person? Because home building is not just a technical process. It's a communication process, and you need to be able, and Cindy is amazing at listening.
So, and I'm just going to disagree on one thing that he just said. Sometimes it's not having the best guy, okay? Sometimes it's about having the guy that shows up when there's a problem. There's so many moving targets. If you get my number from my producer, I can have a conversation with you and walk you through it. How's that? Because it's a little
sounds
more involved
perfect.
than what we have, and we got like 44 seconds left.
Yeah. Thank you. You've given me a lot to think about.
And
That's
hey,
perfect.
thanks for following me on Facebook. I appreciate it. And watching Tough as Nails, enjoying the show. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ron,
Yes.
you got like 30 seconds.
You don't even have that,
Good
Ron. You're always
good
the last
afternoon.
call always gets the shackle here, whatever it's called.
Quite all right. Dr. Pillay, good afternoon. I do
Hi, Ron.
anticipate reading this book. It's going to benefit me on a personal basis. I'm sure of it. I understand the concept of unfocusing, but I'm not sure I know how to do that. Would you care to share any insights to me related to any early warning signs that I might be able to pinpoint if I'm headed in the opposite direction of unfocusing my mind whenever I'm getting to the end of the day?
Sure. So I think the first thing is if you're tired, if you're hitting a wall, if you're going too slowly and you're feeling like your productivity is in a slump, realize that your focus brain is being drained and you need to unfocus. The book is filled with techniques, but some things you can try are walking on a curvy path, doodling, positive constructive daydreaming, and taking a break just to do a reality check and say what's possible.
Buy the book.
Very good. Oh, I certainly will.
Thanks, buddy. I'm sorry
Thank
to cut you short, but we run out of time and it goes by really fast. I'm Cindy Stumpo, and this is Tough as Nails on WBZ News Radio 1030. We'll be right back. Okay, Dr. Pillay, I have one tip for my listeners. Give 'em.
Take 15 minutes out of your lunch break and go for a walk on a curvy path. That's my tip.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Srini Pillay, and my good friend. My listeners, how do they get in touch with you? How do they buy your book?
The book's available anywhere, on any local bookstore, Barnes & Noble. It's available also on Amazon, and you can be in touch with me at www.drsrinipillay.com, DRSRINIPILLAY.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well.
It'll be on the WBZ website because no one's going to remember that one. Okay. Thank you, Samantha Stumpo of Newbrook Realty, for co-hosting with me. Thank you to the listeners, the callers. Without you, I have no show here, so I'm appreciating the following and the loyalty here. So, folks, we have another new job, and that job is let's start to unfocus. This is going to be good for my brain, but I'm going to try to start. I'm going to read the book, and I'm going to start this. It's going to be hard for me, but hey, what do we have to lose? Let's all start walking around unfocusing. I don't know about you, but my brain is on Highway 95 all day long, going over the speed limit. The funny part of this is I spent most of my life training to focus. Now I'm 53 and I'm going to learn how to unfocus. What a freak show my head's going to be. This is Cindy Stumpo, Tough as Nails, WBZ News Radio 1030. Please, again, join me on my Facebook page, on my Facebook fan page, Cindy Stumpo. My main pages are full. I keep saying this and nobody's listening. I have over 40,000 friend requests that I cannot accept. Please, I'm not a rude person. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. Sammy, am I rude sometimes?
No comment.
Okay. All right, so I'm rude sometimes, but I'm not rude on my social media. So please, again, it's the Cindy Stumpo fan page. Have a great, safe weekend. I'm Cindy Stumpo. We'll see you next week.